Hey, you guys. One thing I wanted to touch on, it's like a weather report of what's going on with me that may or may not have anything to do with the reading. But it's a good thing for me to remind myself of. I have vertigo. It's a particular kind of what they call benign postural positional vertigo. Another acronym. This one's particularly hard to treat. Has to do with crystals in your ear that have gotten diverted, inner ear. So it has to do with balance. And it just, with me, some people go spin like this, and I do that sometimes. But mostly I'm kind of on the deck of a ship. The world is going around and around. And if I had on a thing with a zipper and I just was looking down to zip it, and, I started to get this disequilibrium. And it's frustrating because it's really abated for a long time and suddenly there's a resurgence of it. I think it has to do with allergies. Anyway, sorry for what is this medical update? But what's interesting is, it's familiar to me. So I kind of know what I have to do to get through it and out the other side. And it involves some exercises that actually trigger it, the vertigo. And then you focus on something until it resolves. And it can take, not a huge amount of time, a couple of minutes. But if you're in that fairly dramatic, because you're doing physical exercises that bring it on, that cause the crystals to even go more wackajaw, and you wait for them to settle in the proper place in your ear canal. And it's like a snow globe, sort of. But to get through it day to day, while I'm working on this sort of longer term physical, these exercises, the way to do it without kind of keeling over is you pick a point, ahead of you where your intention is to head. And you, with great mindfulness, focus on that thing. And then your brain gets it. And as you turn, you focus on the next thing. It's intentional, and it feels sort of like I wish I didn't have to do it that way, but I do. And, there's something about the acceptance of that, knowing what you need to do to get back on track, and putting aside the fact, or accepting the fact that it peeves you. Because when I'm actually doing the on point thing, or the exercise where you basically say, bring it. You face it down. And befriend it a little bit, but it's more like, I'll hold the focus. It reminds me of ballerinas who do that incredible spinning, and they, in order to be able to do it, they focus until the last minute, and then their head turns. Something like that. The other thing I had in mind was just, and I know I swallow loudly, apologies. Most of the people in my family, it's like one of those bizarre family traits. It's the business of, in any relationship, knowing that dance of distance you know, which is a dynamic, when to move in, when to pull back for the relationship. It can be because you are the one who needs to pull back, or the other guy needs to. Just being responsive to that. And I was thinking about the word relationship and, you know, wrote down the verb to relate. So it's always a thing that you're finding the pathway to. I mean, it's something about that, you know, having your eye kind of on the prize, which is the authentic exchange. Like the spin point. It's dynamic, you know? And I thought about it in terms of, first, of my daughter, my daughter, growing up, this constant need to adjust. Do I step in? Do I pull back? Do I engage? Do I let her work it out on her own? And of course, it's a mix all the time of both. Whether it's with your kid or your friend or yourself, your ability to engage or not engage in certain things, you know, friendships wax and wane. You engage and don't engage, or they do, and it's a kind of a dance, and it's wonderful when it's in sync, and it's actually fine when it's not in sync, because, you know, there's not one way to be in sync. In fact, it's to, be in the flow of it. And that takes some mindfulness, respect for each other, love, honesty, blah, 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 all that stuff. For some reason, they're saying no knock, no blow. Right, okay. 3 of Pentacles, relationship. And this is a steady, slow energy, but boy, it's dynamic when you're building something. You know, from the foundation up, that's a 3, that's a Pentacles, that's sturdy, and involves a dynamic between, well, you know, it's interesting because I was talking about that on point, one-pointed. This isn't one-pointed. A bit more complicated than that. And maybe it's in all aspects of your life is going to be this, how do we build it, you know, so it's strong, but we're attending to, like when you're building a wall out of field stone or the stone that's available, and you make it fit, you know, it isn't enough that it looks good. If you put your hand on it and it goes like that, you got to find something to fill the gap. I don't even know what I'm talking about yet, but let's see. Okay, now it's cracking up. 5 of Wands. Again, a dynamic. This isn't necessarily an easy dynamic, but it's ongoing, because it's a struggle. It's a working something out. Which way do we go? Where's the consensus? You know, biff, bam, boom. How do we? Because as you're working out this back and forth, it isn't always in sync. That's the goal, to do it with some grace and some love and some, you know, intention that it works out the best for everybody. But it takes practice, and there's a fair amount of like clang. This is not clang. You know, this is a cooperative energy. This is like, if this is a group or some struggle inside yourself, it's an attempt to get the act together. And it's not at the moment. There's more discovery to be done. But the two of them together is like a willingness to cooperate on this. Can be uncomfortable, or it just takes time. The willingness to work cooperatively on working it out. Work, work, work. Wow. Okay, again, a card of set of work, work, work. You know, decide what you want, what you don't want. What you accept and stand up for, and what you block. Trust your own filter. Something like that. And then, are we going to work it out? I think so. There's this energy of King of Pentacles. In Pentacles energy. Three of Pentacles. Somebody who cares, somebody who shows up to this relationship that involves relating to each other. You know, and figuring out how to do it. Practice it, practice, get back, you know. In any relationship that matters, there will be that kind of situation. You know, loving somebody doesn't mean smooth sailing all the time in a static thing. It just doesn't. You know, there might be periods of ease and grace where you just can not be that sort of struggly thing. And this person is equipped to do it over time, authentically, work it out in how we live. Pentacles energy. Not in our minds, not in our, you know, maybe someday place. Well, let's think about it. This is let's be there. Ram Dass, be here now. For this guy. Be here now. Judgment. Sort of the ultimate be here now card. You know, this is a resurrection. A back to life. You know, which sort of implies there was a life before this. Energy came in. And now it's rising to the next level. Archetype. These three top cards are cards of, you know, how you work it out in this way. You know, in your daily life, how you show up, what you value, what you stick around for. Through the struggles, you show up to work with other people in this struggle of okay. And this is, there's something new about this. It's not the old way. And maybe the old, okay, maybe the old way involved this sort of, do I stand up for it? Do I block it? it isn't quite that. I'm not quite saying it right. But in the same fire energy, Wands energy, Fool is a major arcana of how we begin the journey. Because it's a journey, 5 of Wands, 7 of Wands. You know, it's not a set it and forget it, you're there, you never have to look at this again. It's something that, like, the working it out in this grounded way, you know, takes time, Pentacles. And it's all about, I think, leveling up, the willingness to be reborn on that, well, Fool's journey, to begin and begin again, the fresh start, Wands energy, inspirational, creative, here we go. And this is sort of like, here we go this time. Some way of being in the world is leveling up. Being in the world is leveling up. And when we start, because this is almost the last card in the deck. It's the one before world. It's the one right before you resurrect, then you step through the portal, world, you level up. And then you begin again. It's like ascension. Going to the next. Which so far I love this. I was asked this morning to, I haven't done this in ages, and it's very unwieldy. I believe it's 3 Rider-Waite decks blended into one, like, mega deck. It's insane in a certain way, but it shows a lot of repeats. You know, it's nuts to try to shuffle it, so I don't really, I just kind of, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And bear with me, because it's a ride, Rider-Waite ride. How are we to do this? Okay. On King of Pentacles, Moon, card of Pisces, Cancer, feminine principle of allowing for space for the unconscious. I mean, of course you have to, but it's almost like consciously, it's like being conscious of your unconscious. We'll have to see how that plays out, because, you know, not entirely sure what I'm talking about, because it's a double thing. It's a little bit like High Priestess energy being tapped in to what you can't even talk about yet. And this is similar. They're both cards of water energy, of feelings. Be conscious of your unconscious. Okay, on 5 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles. Again, the grounded, real thing that you're investing in, even though working it out, you have to deal with the other guy or guys. All the relationships have this dynamic quality of let's work it out, how we, what we invest in, what we can grow here, consciously. Conscious of your unconscious. I still don't really know. I'm supposed to take all three. And this goes, first card out on 3 of Pentacles is a 4 of Swords. This is like the engagement, the involved dynamic. We're going to work on this together in 3D. 4 of Swords. And this is sort of not ready for engagement. You notice stuff I do when I I listen to the video before I post it. And there's a place where I always yodel. There's a place where I always say this, that, or the other. It's like the Matrix in the sense of there's a structure. There's a bit of a structure. And to do the cooperative thing, you need to be able to, well, that's it, retreat. 3 of Pentacles, come forward and work on it dynamically. But part of the dynamic is, like I said at the beginning, knowing how to move back. Because this is sort of a card of moving back, not even talking necessarily, not engaging in this Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles energy of let's do it together. And there's an element in 7 of Pentacles of assessing. It's taking the moment to step back and look at the investment, the growth, who's doing the work and that kind of thing. And this has that stepping back quality too. Because 7 of Pentacles is a bit of a passive card in the sense of you've put in the work, now step back and assess it. 5 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles. So this really speaks to the in and out, being able to and willing to relate and do it again, return to it. Ace of Cups. Wow, and I'm getting the dizzies right now just looking down at the cards. I'm getting both feet on the floor. Just settling with intention, letting those, because there's been a shakeup, evidently, and, the crystals that indicate balance need to settle. 4 of Swords. It's a neurological thing in some ways. But on Judgment, Ace of Cups, the resurrected thing, the new thing, the thing that comes back to life, has to do with feelings. It's the first cup energy on the board. It's the opportunity for love and for bringing love back to life and back into action, back into the realm of the personal. The I, Ace of Cups. And Ten of Wands on Seven of Wands. They're standing up for, do I engage? Do I not? Do I block it? Do I want to engage? And this is sort of unburdening of that. In the fire energy of the Fool, do I take the leap? And it involves the closing out of a cycle. And so does Judgment card that preceded this, because it's the resurrection. It's not that something's, something's sort of spent, and it's time to level up. And that's going to involve closing out some cycle. So maybe blocking will be important. Blocking what you no longer need, what has become a burden, so you can kind of unburden and begin in that same Wands energy. What's my passion? What's my purpose? Where do I start? Seems to me you start with love. You start with love. Chariot, a card of feelings that are in alignment. You and somebody else, you within yourself, both. It has to be both. You and the other person. Involving feelings, Cups energy. Remember I said that there was no water energy on the board? There is the opportunity for this new realignment so that something can begin in a fresh way. And there is some risk involved, or willingness to accept the unknown. But you're both willing to, there is a both here. And more than a both. Three of Pentacles, Five of Wands. There are people involved with this. But I do think there's a central, your feelings about something, and you're tapping into somebody who sort of feels the same way. You're both feeling it, right? You're feeling it. And also kind of feeling your way through the feelings, through the ones that are still murky, the ones that are still, it's discovery. It's the dynamic. It's cyclical. It comes and goes. There's some stuff you can see fully. What is that? Through a glass darkly. And I can't remember, it's a crucial line, but it's something about now face to face. Through a glass darkly. And it's like the willingness to enter a feeling place that isn't fully expressed yet. To be conscious of your unconscious. And that will involve, as well as the engagement, this ability to step back and, in Swords energy, what you're conscious of. Allow this healing understanding. Because in the retreat, in the stepping back, that's a hard one. To go into that passive place where you're still working it out, how to work together. It involves the work and the working it out part, and it also involves the pulling back, new neural pathways, assessing, what am I getting out of this? What's the other guy getting out of this? Three of Pentacles. The more than just yourself. Who's investing? Who's gonna invest? Is this worth the effort? Yeah. Because by working it out in this Three of Pentacles way, that's part of how you heal. And the other part of how you heal is to a step away. And that's like something you learn all the time. I think that's it. Done? Yes, we're done. I think that's a pretty good read, really. A bit awkward, like I can barely even lay these back down. And that's Ten of Pentacles. It's like, lay down the burden of so many options, of so many, trying to see where the patterns repeat and so on. It's like rest your brain. Because every time you come back into cooperation, into Three of Pentacles, in 3D, it's like part of the work, King of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles, and it's almost like you invest over time. You do. You return to this same garden and work it, season after season. And ask any gardener, it's work, and it's rework. Over time, you have to be willing to come back and back, if you want the plant to, and you don't have to like do an espalier, some fancy thing where you flatten the thing against the wall because it's an interesting look. You're doing it because it yields something real, tangible, useful. And then there are times of passivity when you just let the thing grow. It's not like your engagement with it is necessary. With a kid or anybody else, you don't need to be in there duking it out. Duking it out all the time. There will be times to duke it out, and there will be times to stand back. Stand back for the thing to grow. Sort of out of our control. Or at least the growth itself is an energy that needs to be honored. Honored by, stepping in, stepping out. Where's that? I did the hokey pokey. Turn myself. You put one foot in, you put one foot out, you put one foot in, you shake it all about. I mean, if you don't know that song, you're not as old as I am, because the hokey pokey. Turn yourself around, that's what it's all about. And there's some new twist on it that says, is it really all about the hokey pokey? This dance of, yeah, maybe. Hokey pokey. Do the hokey pokey, turn yourself around. It's a fun, it's a dance that sort of everybody knows, and it's a bit like jazzy. It's not a ponderous, and it acknowledges that dynamic. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Turn yourself around. you know. And there's a set pattern to the dance, but it's a sort of a rebel call. You know, engage. Oh yeah, you get it. I'm belaboring the point. You guys, I am guided to say relationship. Apparently that's the most important, that relate. If you want a private reading, there's a link down below to my Gmail account where we can begin to work it out, because there are a variety of ways we can do it, lengths of time and so forth. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, please, if you haven't already. I invite you to do so. I think that's it. Till next time. See you soon.